How to make money with debt the easiest way. Welcome back to Wealth-ology. For today's video, we'll be going to talk about the easiest way on how to make money with debt. Let's get started. Mark Zuckerberg took up a 30-year mortgage in July 2012 to finance his $5.95 million Palo Alto house, which is 3 miles from Facebook's headquarters. He was 28 years old at the time and the world's 40th wealthiest individual with a net worth of $15.6 billion. Why would you go into debt if you have billions of cash and can simply pay it off? He could easily buy a dozen of 6 million homes in cash without batting an eyelid if he so desired. So, why take a loan? The explanation is lengthy and complex, but in a nutshell, it's free money. Who would offer you free money when you are already a billionaire, right? It's all about interest rates. In the United States, the inflation rate is 2.5 to 3%. Thus, any money you borrow that is less than that is called free money. The rate on Zuckerberg's mortgage is slightly over 1.05%, but it is adjustable, which means that it could go up or down depending on the conditions. When you do the arithmetic, the bank loses because the mortgage rate is lower than the inflation rate. To do the math, you don't need to be a genius. Let's imagine you borrow $1 million at a 1% interest rate. The average savings account rate of return is 2.4%. That is, even if you put the $1 million in another bank account, you will earn $24,000 a year while merely paying the bank that lent you the money a monthly payment of $10,500. Consider what you could accomplish with $100 million or perhaps $1 billion. When you can borrow money for free, there's no reason for you to keep your own money when you can put it to better use. Of course, when dealing with tiny quantities of money, this may not make sense because the difference is significant. Nevertheless, when dealing with enormous sums, a difference of 1, 2, or 0.5% may equal tens of thousands of dollars, if not hundreds of thousands. Assume you're a successful businessman who can afford $1 million home. Why buy a home when you can finance it for 1% or 2% while investing the rest of your money in your business, which may yield 10, 20, or even 30% returns? Even if you are too lazy to find a better strategy to invest your money, simply putting it all into an index fund can be far more rewarding, especially when the time span is 20 to 30 years. An index fund has historically delivered an average return of 8%. If you take out a mortgage and invest the difference in an index fund, the difference will be returned to you. It's all about opportunity costs. It wouldn't make financial sense for Zuckerberg to pay cash for the house when he has been given a 1% mortgage rate. But if he isn't the only one who thinks like this, take Elon Musk for example. The majority of his wealth is tied to Tesla and SpaceX. In order to buy a house for $20 million, he would likely have to sell a significant portion of his wealth, pay taxes, and incur other expenses. However, he can take free money and keep his monthly payment within his budget. He took out a $61 million mortgage for 5 residents in California with a $180,000 monthly payment. That isn't exclusive to millionaires. Jay-Z and Beyonce, for example, are reasonably wealthy. They took out a loan to purchase their $88 million home. They put down 40% and financed the remaining $52.8 million. This leaves the couple with a monthly payment of $149,600. The national median home value is $207,000. In comparison, instead of tidying up a mansion with $53 million, he knows exactly where to invest it to maximize his return. At the end of the day, he has made a number of excellent investments and is well on his own to become a millionaire. The wealthier you become, the more opportunities you will have to create more money. But let's face it, not everyone qualifies for such low mortgage rate. The national average is around 3%. But even at that rate, it doesn't make sense to buy a house if you can afford it. But first, let's get things straight. Why do super wealthy pay a lower tax rate than the rest of us? First and foremost, when you are a billionaire, the bank can rest easy since no one is concerned that you'll be default on your loan. And if you do, you can easily sell a portion of your firm to repay your mortgage, removing the risk from the equation. Compare that to an average employee who could get sick and not be able to work or just lose his job. Second, paying your mortgage on time every month helps you create and maintain a good credit score, which will make it more easier to borrow money from the banks if you get into difficulties again. You're basically establishing trust with the financial institutions. It could, however, be the other way around. Banks give such cheap mortgage rates in order to build a good relationship with wealthy individuals so that when their businesses require a loan, they would turn to them rather than their competitors. It's a win-win situation for everyone. However, these low mortgage rates are changeable, so they could rise. But no one is concerned because even if it increases to make economic sense of these ultra-wealthy individuals, they can easily repay their mortgage. However, most people identify debt without something unpleasant because we often borrow money we can't afford for amusement and end up repaying much more. In reality, you discover how much of a burden your student debt is shortly after graduation. And once you compute how long it would take you to repay that debt, you quickly form the belief that debt is bad, especially when you can't even use it as a fallback. Playing with debt isn't easy. You're ultimately taking a significant risk, and even a minor blunder can have severe effects. In fact, we have accumulated so much debt that most people can no longer afford a 500 bill because they must make all these monthly installments. That is, however, what distinguishes bad debt from good debt. Debt can wreck your life, make you homeless, and cripple your family if you're careless with it. But it can also make you extremely wealthy if you know how to leverage it. Leverage is an ability that can instantly make you wealthy. Let's imagine you bought this phone for $10,000, went to the market, and sold it for $11,000. Congratulations! You just made a $1,000 profit. But that's not much. But what if you utilize leverage? You go to the bank first and borrow $990,000, then add your $10,000 to make $1 million. You go to your supplier and buy 100 of phones for $1 million, then sell them for $1.1 million on the open market. But you still owe the bank money, so you go back to the bank and repay them the $990,000 you borrowed plus another $10,000 in interest. You're now down to $100,000. After deducting your personal $10,000, you're left with a profit of $90,000 when you don't have any. This is how you make money. The bank got their cut of their profits and you got yours. Of course, when this formula is taken to its logical conclusion and is not regulated by the government and practiced by everyone on the Wall Street, a financial crisis occurs as it did in 2008. Remember when home values plummeted, then they brought the entire economy down with them? It's because investment banks exploited the leverage to increase their profit margins to the point that their approach backfired because they started lending to people who didn't have the finest credit and weren't financially prepared to make the monthly payments. Then they defaulted their mortgage, which was a nightmare for investors because property prices had been growing for 40 years and then abruptly began to fall. We won't get into details of 2008 financial catastrophe, but it remains a big instrument for wealthy individuals to make money in some ways. Of course, it's hazardous and you may lose everything, but if you know what you're doing, you could make a fortune in a matter of days. So, which strategies and tips have you found to be particularly beneficial in making money from debt? Please let me know in the comment section below, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, turn on the notification bell, and subscribe to the channel for more. Thank you for taking the time to watch. Stay tuned for our next video. Bye!